Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. We're ready for the event.
Kennedy Space Center, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Mike Curie at the Kennedy Space Center. How do you hear me?
Mike, it's fantastic to talk to you today. Great to be with you in Florida.
Thank you, Chris. We're going to turn things over now to Florida Today senior aerospace reporter Todd Halverson. Todd?
Hi, Chris. This is Todd Halverson, Florida Today. Florida Today, USA Today, and Gannett Company are banding together with the Florida Institute of Technology to study the effects of long-term spaceflight on astronauts, countermeasures being developed for combating those adverse effects, and how real people on Earth might benefit. Let me get right to the students for questions.
That sounds great.
Hi, I'm Iman Mare.
That sounds great.
My question is, how has your background as part of the U.S. Navy SEAL team helped you with your spaceflight experience?
Oh, that's a great question. In a number of ways, all of us have different variety of backgrounds as we come into the space program. And as you mentioned, I'm from the military and the Navy SEAL teams. And what I really brought with me from that experience is teamwork, how to be a good team player and be part of a small unit, a small group of folks accomplishing a specific mission. And that's exactly what we're doing here in the space program. And then more along the lines of what you're studying, the physical aspect of it, we obviously had to do quite a bit of physical training in the SEAL teams, and that's very, very important when we're up here on the space station to keep our bodies not only healthy while we're here, but more importantly so that we can return safely and not have too big of a hill to overcome when we get back on the ground.
Okay, thank you.
Does being in space have the same effects as cabin fever in terms of psychological stress?
Well, that's an interesting thought. I think that if you're here for a really long time with no goal, no end in mind, then you could really be cautious about cabin fever type of stress. Up here, what we're doing, I haven't had a hint of that. We're busy every day. I feel like we're accomplishing great science every day, and also contributing to the maintenance of the space station on a daily or weekly basis, and just the social aspect of being with my two Russian colleagues right now, and then in just a short week we'll have 3 other folks arrive, and being part of that crew and sharing meals together and looking out the window together. It just, for me, I haven't had a hint of cabin fever yet. Now, if you were going to practice for a Mars mission and not go to Mars, I think that would be hard. That would be a really challenging thing to overcome psychologically. But if you're going to Mars and you knew Mars was at the end, you'd be pretty motivated, I think.
I'm Monica DeFelice. My question is, studies show that daily supplements are important in protecting astronauts from the effects of radiation absorption. Do you have such a regime, and what daily supplements do you take?
Well, my answer is kind of boring. I really just take a multivitamin type of thing, and then vitamin D, and that's all my vitamin regime really is. Now, maybe over the course of our studies of this type of nature, and maybe with your research that you're doing, we'll learn that, well, we can do better than that. But for now, that's what I'm doing. And then in our sleeping quarters, we have some panels around the edge that will help mitigate the effects of radiation and that sort of thing. But in terms of specific oral vitamins or medication, that's all.
I'm John Almasi. Does NASA issue magnifying glasses so that you can visually complete the mission, or has NASA come up with a new carbon dioxide scrubber that may resolve vision issues?
John, we do see the eye doctor extensively prior to flight, and that's obvious. That is to correct any vision issues that we have at that time, but also to think ahead about what might be the effects of our 6 months in space and how that might affect our eyes. And we are given a few options for eyewear in the event that we have a degradation in our eyesight. Now, the second part of your question is a new carbon dioxide scrubber, and to my knowledge, it's just the same one. I mean, it is the same one we have had that is currently working right now. To my knowledge, I don't think that there is anything in work to replace the one that we have on board the space station. But that's an interesting thought. That would be. I'd be curious to hear the results of your research as you progress further with that and explore that question.
Hello, my name is Brooke Fisher, and my question is, what do you do to prevent bone loss? For example, is there a specific exercise regimen that you have to have prior to the launch, and is there any kind of regimen during, while you're in space to help avoid prolonged bone loss?
Yeah, like you mentioned, exercise is the #1 thing we can do to prevent bone loss. And I think that's important for folks on Earth to know as well, because as we age, bone density loss is a problem, and that's how people, when they're elderly, fall down and can hurt a hip or some major bone and have a really hard time overcoming that. A lifelong regime of load-bearing exercises, I think, is a great thing. And how does that relate to us? We do just that. Up here while we're in space, we have some astronaut strength and conditioning coaches on the ground that provide us with the particular regime that you're talking about. And really what it boils down to are large muscle groups like your hips and your lower back and your thighs, really working those every single day. Every single day we do some type of squat and deadlift. The upper body stuff we do as well, but that's not so critical. It turns out the really important areas to target are your hips and legs, and that's the focus of every time I get on the machine that we use. I don't need to go into specifics of what it is, but it's nothing exotic. You know, a couple sets of all those exercises every single day, and we will vary the weight throughout the course of the mission to peak at certain levels and then recover for a few weeks and then peak right towards the end as we're stepping out of the rocket back on the planet. So that's the goal. It's really effective though, because I feel myself staying strong while I'm here.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Laura Fitzsimmons. Have you personally noticed any changes within your voluntary muscles, for example, your arms or legs? If so, what were these changes and how did they affect you?
You know, that's a good question. In the Navy, we had a saying that we called the gym the small arms repair locker, and you could sort of joke around that up here it's the same thing. We can call our Node 3 the small arms repair locker because we get on that machine every single day. But I'm joking, of course, but I haven't noticed any change in myself other than I actually can feel that I'm stronger in the exercises that I just referred to, squats and those types of things, because we're doing them every single day. Now take away the fact that we're not walking around, and just to get to the room that you're in, you guys were exercising your legs to get there, and we don't have that, and that's one thing that we need to substitute with the machine. So really, to answer your question, I'm sort of tap dancing around it, but the one thing, if anything, I have noticed is that my legs, my calf muscles are tighter, and I need to concentrate on stretching those muscles out before I run. Otherwise, I can get really kind of sore and tense.
Hi, my name is William Grimaldi, and my question is, with those exercises, have you had any breathing challenges?
No, not really. The only breathing challenge is from exercising really hard, and we have a treadmill that works just like the treadmill there on Earth, and we can vary the speed but also vary the load that we put on the system. On Earth, when you get on a treadmill, you're just running with your body weight. Up here, we can do less or equal, not really more, but in somewhere in between. And then we also have a bicycle called a Cevis, and that is a really challenging device to use. I find on 30 minutes on our onboard bicycle, my heart rate is really high, and I'm dripping with sweat. And that's the only time I have a hard time breathing, is when my heart rate gets to its maximum level, and the strength coaches make me do this program. But I enjoy it because I can feel that I'm staying healthy while I'm doing it.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Schaefer. Has your immune system been affected during or after space flight? For instance, have you gotten a cold? And what do you believe caused it?
It's an interesting question for me to think about, because I have noticed, I've been up here maybe 2 months, I forget exactly, but there's been periods where my head has been a little stuffed up, and it feels the same as a small cold type symptoms they have on Earth. But I don't know if it's from fluid shift and just fluid moving up into different parts in my sinus cavities, or if it actually is a cold, as you mentioned, some type of an immune thing. It's pretty clean up here, and we have really great filters in all the air conditioning throughout the air conditioning system. So it's hard for me to imagine that several times I've gotten a flu or cold. I think it's more along the lines of just fluid type shifting. So I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor, but that is definitely an interesting question. And at times you need to keep a box of Kleenex in your sleeping quarters to take care of it.
Hi, Chris. My name is Jennifer Nesmith, and my question is, what's the best thing about being aboard the ISS, and what's the worst thing about being aboard the ISS?
Hard to say a worse thing. I think you're going to pin me down and make me say something, so I'll save that second. The best thing, I think, is just like in life, it's not the fun things that you do, it's who you experience those things with. We have our families and our colleagues at work on the ground that we share things with, and up here I'm sharing these special times with my crew members. So with Pavel and Sasha and the Soyuz ride to get here, and with Chris and Tom and Roman, in addition to Pavel and Sasha for the last couple months, the times that we have had will be memories that I'll have forever. And when Karen and Luca and Fyodor arrive next week, that will continue. So that is the number one thing. A close second is looking out the window, but you just can't beat the whole experience with wonderful people. And the worst thing, gosh, that's hard, because I am enjoying this whole experience. But if you made me say, I would probably say that there's a timeline that we follow every day, and there's a little red line that represents the real time, and we have a bunch of jobs to do. And always thinking about how your day's going relative to what you need to be doing is something that when it comes to Friday, you're ready for the weekend, so you can not quite have that, a little bit less pressure on that timeline. But even that, none of those things are horrible. It's just maybe that's the one thing that when I get back on Earth, I'll be looking forward to not have to worry about making those time decisions every minute.
Iman again. What kinds of tests do you go through while in space? What are you monitoring about yourself, health-wise, and why?
I think you said, what type of tests do we undergo while I'm up here? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. So pre-flight, we sign up for a particular suite of experiments, and each person's a different program, and depends on the available time and the science needs at the time of your launch. For me, I'm part of an experiment that I eat a certain ratio of potassium to protein meals at different times throughout the mission. At right after I got here, and then at 1 month, and I have another one coming up in a week or so, and then several other times throughout the mission. And during that time, we monitor our urine pH, and we take samples of that, and also take samples of our blood, and those get sent back down to the Earth. So that's one form of tests. Additional to that, the use of ultrasound in a way to give information that we typically get in America from MRIs, with the implication being in remote locations and less fortunate countries as our own, where you can't get to an MRI machine to diagnose a problem, where you can pack in a suitcase of an ultrasound machine to help identify or figure out a treatment for a certain problem that a particular person is having. So I'm part of that experiment as well, where I'm a test subject as well as my other crewmates for this ultrasound, and a few other ones. But those are the things that jump to mind right away as I answer your question.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Champion, and my question is, how long does it take to be in space before psychological stress occurs, and how does it manifest?
Well, I think that depends person to person, and this is a roundabout answer because I don't have a definite one for you. It depends person to person, and the manifestation can be in different ways, from small things like irritability or just the desire to not eat a meal with your crewmates for a particular day and just kind of be by yourself, to maybe even a little bit cranky and snappy at the people on the radio or at your crewmates. I haven't seen any of that yet, but pre-flight, when we talk about it with our medical specialists, those are the signs and symptoms that we're told to look out for, so that, more importantly than anything else, we can monitor ourselves. And when we realize that we see the onset of that type of symptom coming, we can back off or call the ground and say, hey, I need a little bit of a reprieve today because, whatever. That type of thing. So really, it's self-monitoring. To be honest, I enjoy the company of my crewmates a lot, and look forward to those meals when we get together and can talk and laugh about what happened in the day, or talk about the plan for the upcoming days or weeks. So it's hard to say, to give you a specific answer. Sorry for such a roundabout answer, but it just depends so much on the person and the circumstances.
Thank you.
Commander Cassidy, I'm Heidi Hatfield Edwards, and on behalf of my students and the communication program at Florida Institute of Technology, thank you so much for answering our questions and being a part of this collaboration with Florida Today and USA Today. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Well, you're very welcome, Heidi Hatfield, and you have a good last name because my last crewmate, as you probably know, was named Chris Hatfield. So my pleasure to be with you today, and hopefully I could help a little bit with what you're studying. It's a really interesting place, and it's my desire to share all of it with all of you. So thank you very much.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
Thank you, Florida Institute of Technology and Florida Today. Station, we are now resuming operational communications.
And we copy, Houston.